Really? Then why don't you say it to my face without cameras, you
Good morning, Parasociety Nation. Today I'm joined by three of my least favorite people, Rebel Taxi, Dumbsville, and Just Stop.
I am here against my will.
Hey, what's good, y'all? I'm here for a sample of Pan Rebel Taxi Pizza's blood. I have a collection in my basement.
I'm just here.
Earlier this month, we all sat down and watched the entirety of Captain LASERHAWK together, and boy, was it good, at least in my opinion. So good, in fact, that we had to make a video about it. A video you are now watching.
You don't have to talk down to the audience like that.
Maybe they like it, you don't know them.
Around 2010, LASERHAWK creator Adi Shankar was already a co-producer for films like Dread or The Grey. Plus a showrunner for Castlevania, which Netflix loves so much that they gave him a Devil May Cry anime. You'd assume that's why Ubisoft trusted him with their IPs, but no. It was for his bootleg universe. While making actual movies, Adi's side hustle was unauthorized edgy fan films of beloved family-friendly properties like Power Rangers, Punisher, or Pokemon. He cites graffiti artists like Banksy as an inspiration, taking established characters and corrupting them, sometimes for the sake of violence and other times making creative uses of their abilities. Ubisoft came to him asking for his take on their properties. Adi didn't think they'd accept it, but they were all for it. Like, hey, they ain't using Rayman, take it. Together, they pitched the series around as Adi states, "One of the owners of Ubisoft actually came with me to every network we talked to about the show to literally sit in a room and say, yes, he can do all this. Yes, we're going to allow that." If he was worried about fans hating his interpretation, he just assumes people are mad at him constantly. Screw it. Netflix greenlit the series because they're corporate sluts that'll take anything, no offense to real sluts who I respect. As for animation, that's where Bobby Pills comes in, a company known for its deranged, ultra-violent, or sexual French animations. Have you ever seen Pipoudou? Hell, during the 2020 lockdowns, they were struggling to get work, so they made Maxine a virtual OnlyFans star. She's the gorillas of XXX animation. This saved the company. But they also helped in smaller, normal stuff, the Season 2 teaser of Invincible, or the intro to My Adventures with Superman. Blood Dragon would be their most expensive project using 2D, pixels, and CG, despite the lack of CG experience. They had to hire a new 3D team, mostly for cars. The CG was done months before the final animation, so the 2D had to work around it, with limited chances of a reshoot. Some dynamic backgrounds are done in 3D as a reference so they can trace over it in 2D. It was a lot of things to figure out quickly. They described it as driving on a road they're constructing at the same time. It was a new challenge, but they made Blood Dragon.
Think of this as cyberpunk edgerunners edging on bath salts. The oppressive government, Eden Tech, curates propaganda to breed complacency amongst its citizens. And who's that as the propaganda poster child? Is it former crack addict Mike Lindell? No, it's Rayman? Much like many 14-year-olds with a Tide Pod and a dream, Rayman wants to be famous more than anything. His B-plot is actually my favorite by far, so I'm going to talk about it first. Rayman is a refugee from space, and his story is meant to be a commentary on immigrants resented by the government. Ray's a beloved news anchor parroting propaganda, but is fired when he goes berserk towards Red, a resident superhero who made racist remarks towards hybrids like Ray. He's like Homelander, except evil. I just want to put him in Blender and see if I can finally feel emotions. Red's prejudice was Rayman's breaking point. After an outburst on live TV, Ray gets fired and replaced with a lookalike, so the audience doesn't know they're disposable to Eden. Pan has written in the script, not to be racist, which I am. Pan? What did you mean by this? But I guess every Rayman looks the same. Once fired, he spirals into addiction? Whoa, buddy, you okay? Save some for Mike Lindell. Let's leave Rayman to suffer in silence while we discuss some of the others. So, LASERHAWK is captured by Eden and, oh, this is literally just Suicide Squad. So, we've got a team. LASERHAWK, Bullfrog, Paige, and Jade. They're deployed by Eden to capture a target, Pagan Min. After everything goes wrong, certain underutilized characters were killed abruptly, which kind of sucked. His arc had so much men kissing that Grant had to leave Call for a few minutes for his raging homophobia, hiding his repressed sexuality. I won't spoil it until now, actually. So skip ahead to... Better hurry. One of the most insane things about the show is any rebels fighting against Eden are punished and rehabilitated. Yeah, I was rehabilitated once. That didn't go too well. What can I say? Alcohol and motor vehicles go together like peanut butter and jelly. They are forced in a VR facility where they are forced to perform menial tasks like driving a taxi. Whoa, buddy, that's Sega. Instead of the Offspring music, though, they use that Cartoon Network 2015 bumper music. You know what I mean?
To the VR facility. What the hell is this nonsense?
So victims are trapped in this VR to train AI, advancing technology in morally bankrupt ways. Forced to play a bootleg Crazy Taxi with no Offspring music or Simpsons characters is flat out unethical. After a fuck ton of plot twists and backstories, the season abruptly ends on a cliffhanger. Oh, and this awesome scene where Rayman finally snaps.
What's the matter with you? Nobody makes a fucking move. Sit the fuck down. Rayman? Sit the fuck down!
With all that's left unanswered, I'm begging for season 2.
Yes! So stay with us, because we have the most amazing show tonight. See you after the break. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba-ba. And we're back! Ladies and gentlemen, this is it.
You know, the worst part of this review is playing fucking Ubisoft games. Overall, I was actually very positive with Captain LASERHAWK, and while it isn't perfect by any means, there was plenty that I enjoyed here. For one thing, I really enjoyed the animation. It's a nice mix of Saturday morning American cartoon and ooh-woo animoogles. It's very flashy, has tons of neon colors, and I'm a sucker for anything cyberpunk. Because of all this already, the show is already going to appeal to me, and in my opinion, they deliver. Meaning this is the premier show for whatever topical website people gooned this on. I also, shockingly, had a lot of fun with the idea of reinterpreting Ubisoft games and characters in this reused universe. Which is shocking because normally I hate this nostalgia bait reference bullshit and Ubisoft games. And while the show can fall into some of that, overall I came out having a lot more fun than being annoyed. And the show even kinda jumps away from that in the second half of it, which I thought was really nice, allowing the show to stand on its own while still having that Ubisoft remix identity. You get characters like Jaden Page from Beyond Good and Evil, who only appear for like 2 episodes, who somehow still get more attention than Ubisoft ever will actually give them. In other words, seriously, where the fuck is Beyond Good and Evil 2? There's a whole Power Rangers parody group based on the operators from Rainbow Six Siege, and the Pseudo-Suicide Squad is even named after the Ghost, after Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon. And furthermore, the dystopian government is literally called Eden, after the religious cult from Far Cry 5. Although that right there is actually a big missed opportunity. It would have been really cool to get a cyberpunk Christian cult in this, but no, we get generic cyberpunk capitalist dystopia number 500. Come on, that would have been awesome to explore. Yeah, well anyways, you also have Bullfrog, this little French frog who is an assassin from Assassin's Creed, which is really funny judging that the actual Assassin's Creed game set in France doesn't have French accents in it. Instead we get shit like British Napoleon. But this character was very cute and adorable on his own right, and whenever he's on screen it is a pretty big blast. Although personally, I would have much preferred an actual Assassin's Creed rep, like, come on, Ezio or something, but not a deal breaker. The character of Bullfrog himself is a lot of fun, so I can't complain. You also have Marcus Holloway and the rest of the Watch Dogs 2 cast, where for some reason Marcus Holloway is now transformed into Morpheus from The Matrix and forced to play VR Rayman Crazy Taxi. Okay, that's fucking hilarious, I won't lie. But I am disappointed in the rest of the cast, who are killed off really early even though certain characters could really fit into this universe. Mainly Wrench, who is shockingly silent and kind of standoffish in this show, which is weird because if there's one character who would fit into Captain LASERHAWK, it would be the quirky, goofy hacker punk character. The one with the mask that shows his uwu emotions all the time, so why didn't he get more screen time in this? However, again, I can kind of ignore that because Marcus is now Morpheus from The Matrix, so... One of my favorites, though, is good old Sam Fisher, who now has no legs, but is still badass. And you know what? I'm a sucker for that Dark Knight Returns type thing, where a legendary badass comes back with some kind of major setback or disability from age, but can still kick some fucking ass. Or maybe I've just been playing a lot of Metal Gear Solid 4, who knows? The one downside, though, is that he isn't voiced by Michael Ironside. Boo! The weirdest one, though, was Alex Taylor being the evil ex-boyfriend. The guy from The Crew. You probably didn't know that until I told you. By the way, naturally, he resembles literally nothing from the original Alex Taylor, although to be fair, the story in The Crew is, it's one of them. So I don't think anybody, not even the griftiest of grifters, care that Alex Taylor was turned into a gay buff dude, since the original character was... I also just really liked the heartbreak betrayal dynamic between Alex and LASERHAWK. It gave a level of tragedy and catharsis to LASERHAWK's character, even though he could have done more with the actual character part, you know? But I did enjoy the dynamic quite a lot, and my only complaint is that I wish there were more of it, you know what I mean? I just really want a cyberpunk story where someone murders their cheating ex, you know what I mean? But easily my favorite, and a lot of people's favorite, has to be Rayman. Fucking, his character arc from Rayman to Ramon is both interesting and just kind of funny, to be honest. Like, I was just really engaged in his character arc, and it was just really fucking funny. I don't know, dude. Although I will say, though, the part where Rayman is snorting coke off a furry stripper, what the fuck's going on here? The one reference I didn't like, though, and really disapprove of was fucking Pagan Min. What a missed opportunity this was. Pagan Min deserved so much more, and LASERHAWK, he's shockingly way too reserved. He's kind of just another generic cyberpunk mob boss, which is weird because in Far Cry 4, he was a really interesting character. Even though, yeah, admittedly in Far Cry 4, they really wanted to make Voz 2.0, Pagan Min was still really interesting. He had this cult of personality around him, and yet he was a complete power-mad control freak lunatic. He was the ruler of this complete empire of dirt, and there's so much interesting shit you could have done with that, but instead, you turn him into the trope that gets killed off way too early. Kinda mad how they did a fucking Far Cry villain dirty. That, you don't do that. You do not goddamn do that. But overall, even though there are some disappointments and I wish the show explored a lot more of these ideas in a different universe, it was still a really fun show in its own right, and I really recommend it. It was a lot of fun. It really isn't perfect, but it is a fun romp. So yeah, I recommend it, Captain LASERHAWK. That's my word.
Captain LASERHAWK, you sure are a show that exists. But seriously, if I'm being totally honest here, I wasn't quite sure what this series was even about before Mango asked me to watch it for this collab, so I have no idea what the general consensus is besides Rayman funny, he do cocaine off big-titted cowgirl. But as someone that's never played a major Ubisoft game before, I gotta say, it's basically Edgerunners but bad, plus it has video game characters in it. And like, I don't know for sure if Edgerunners was a direct inspiration for this series. It could all be some big coincidence at the end of the day, but considering it came out a year after that series was found to be incredibly popular, the similarities do make me raise an eyebrow. Dystopian future, big class allegory, characters that spontaneously die, a main character with illegal body-enhancing equipment that at one point gets corrupted, attempted found family dynamic with a bunch of misfits going on suicide missions based on video games. Just saying, it comes off a little derivative, and none of it's done all that well or uniquely. The found family doesn't get to resonate due to the cast dying off so quickly, making it difficult for me to believe they've formed some type of lifelong bond. LASERHAWK himself is an uninteresting edgy OC taken right out of a shitty yaoi doujin. The only characters I remember were the frog, who was there almost exclusively to make funny faces, and the warden, who was the one character I was genuinely interested in. And finally, all the video game references are so artificial in nature. Like, the series isn't really about video games minus the virtual reality stuff, so it's weird that there are just little insertions of RPG or dating sim recreations for no particular reason than this has video game properties in it, so we need to have video game sections. And by the way, why are there video game characters in this? What was the point of including them? I don't know much about Rayman, but I do know he's nothing like he is in the show, so all I can assume is that he and all these other characters were added for brand recognition. Meaning I guess this is less cyberpunk Edgerunners and more Ready Player One, but regardless, I didn't like it, and that's a summary of why.
Well, there you have it. You got multiple people's opinions and not just mine for probably like the first time. Crazy, I know. Anyways, you guys should check out Captain LASERHAWK on Netflix, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
That's right, I don't care when, 'cause I'm stuck in my head and I'm gasping for